Hi. Okay, part 2, which is about music. I've thought of like 500 different intros, so my notes for the intro for this is really just confusing. I literally have a note here that says, "Make a note about my intro notes and how confusing they are." What the fuck did I mean about this? What did I mean by this? Okay, I know that I meant that there was a gif of SpongeBob floating like he's ascending, but I don't know what that was in reference to. Okay, so next on the notes is to mention that my server is real and open. Yes, it's true. My server is extant now. Um, please read the rules when you join. Please read the fact that you need to answer questions to get access to the rest of the server. Sometimes people just join and kind of expect me to give them a role, or I don't even know. Some people just like chill and don't do anything. And it's confusing. Please, first impressions matter as well. If you I'm not joking with the rules. Sometimes people join and they try to be make a joke about the rules, don't don't do a bad thing unless it's really funny, and it's just like that's gonna get you an insta ban. Sorry, that's gonna get you an insta ban because I just don't want to deal with that. um Another big thing, you can only join if you are 21 and up. uh at least 21, thank you. Let's see, next note. Okay. My notes are really bad. My notes are really bad because the way that I take notes is like I'm talking already. Like I write, you need to answer questions to be given access to the rest of the server, and it's kind of sad when people don't seem to read and thus don't get in. It makes me think of little dogs sitting at a door, not understanding this is a doggy door, and then another note in response to that note saying, or maybe like zombies, and then another note pointing at that one saying, "Is this mean?" Like, I'm not very organized. It turns out that I very likely have ADHD, which, at this point I'm just collecting all of the acronyms that exist. But, I've been trying to work with it. So, I've been trying to get more organized. It is a hassle, but it does help. So, me actually writing this intro, it's a mess that will help me level up and get better at organizing. Right, the questions today are about music. Oh, okay. There is a note here. You can thank Jenny Nicholson for me having energy to pick this up again because I am really inspired by how openly she shares her feelings and opinions, especially in the Patreon videos, while she also maintains her boundaries. I don't know, it's refreshing. So yeah, thank you, Jenny Nicholson. You probably don't know I exist and will probably never know I exist. That's okay. Yeah, I just want to, like the previous one, I was still kind of, um, I was editing out a lot of things I said, and I was trying to be a bit more open. I was. So I think that was a good first step, but I need to keep going with that because my OCD. I'm on medication now. Yay! Low dose because of my liver. I have to see how my liver reacts to it. But, it has been helping. Things feel softer. Things feel less intense, and like I love not feeling like I'm gonna die. Um Oh wait, oh shit. I also need to mention, if you join and your actual Discord handle has a slur in it or like is really edgy, you'll probably get banned. Well, I just will think you're a troll. Sorry, I just don't want to be around that. Anyway, back to me. Oh my god, I'm gonna have to edit this so much. Or I could just leave it in here. I could just leave it in, and then you guys have to do the editing mentally. And imagine that I said that during the section where I was talking about my server. I think I'll do that. That sounds like fun. That's your homework. You're gonna imagine that I edited that really well. Music. Okay. So Trashtastic 2970. I don't know why Trashtastic is such a tongue twister for me to say. Hello, Pengo. Longtime fan. 11 year now. Damn! Okay, that's probably 12 years now because of how slow I'm getting through this. Sorry to hear about the roommate situation, but I hope you're doing well and will get back on your feet soon. Nice to hear about your thoughts on music. I've actually got a question about it. My interpretation is that your music is emotionally driven rather than following some sort of strict music theory. Not only is it an expression of art, but it's very unique, thank you. Analyzing each song takes time and focus, and it's a wonderful experience. Example 11 and your music development videos are something I've always come back to. Your creative thought process is fun to follow in your descriptions, but I wonder if you would be interested in sharing more of it in deeper detail in videos similar to your music development videos in the future. P.S. Will we ever get the Thief and the Cobbler song released? I'm not gonna read that, but I will record Google reading it.
Önskar dig god hälsa och lycka till med musiken.
So, I did release the Thief and the Cobbler song. I've been looking over older songs and thinking of which ones I can release as well. I have been... that's likely an ADHD thing where once it falls out of my periphery, I forget it exists. So, I edited a bunch of like old YouTube video descriptions to be like, hey, this is old music, and I'm making it public again, blah blah. You know, like the Thief and the Cobbler description where I kind of gave some context, and then I forgot to finish doing that. So maybe I'll do that later and release some more old music. But anyway, I wonder if you would be interested in sharing more of it in deeper detail. Well, I did one better. I recorded a whole ass, I've been doing weekly songs, and I recorded one of the weekly songs. I'm going to need to edit that, but eventually, you guys will be able to hear this track. Note to self, play track here. You'll be able to hear this track, from start to finish. For better or for worse. I will ramble a lot. I had a moment. I had so many moments in there where I was just kind of vibing to the track and like not knowing what I was saying and so on. But the way to get better is to just do it. To just talk and sound like an idiot and then go, wow, I sound like an idiot. But also, I'm not going to let that stop me. I'm just going to let it help me grow. So, that's exciting. I do want to mention, though, I have no idea what I'm doing whenever I'm making music. So, it's probably, I don't know, maybe, like, that's something that's interesting to you guys. Maybe you guys are like, wow, Pengo Solvent is really not actually great at this, and he has no plan whatsoever. Just like me! Maybe you'll relate to it. That happens to me sometimes. Like in Danganronpa, sometimes there are like, I guess kind of like anatomy errors or even errors in like editing the artwork. Like I've seen places where there should be transparencies where there aren't, like little like nooks and crannies where they forgot to erase the white background, and that makes me feel awesome. I'm like, oh my god, this game that I love has this really basic issue that like doesn't detract from anything, so when I make that basic issue eventually when I make things, maybe other people won't go, this is dumb and bad and how dare he not make, you know, basically, oh, my OCD is wrong. My OCD that tells me I need to be perfect or else, like, I need to, like, not breathe on my art or else people will know that I exist. It's nice to see mistakes sometimes. It's nice to see errors and humanity, and it reminds me that I can also be human. There is this video, I need to ask for it, but there's this video where someone is like, oh, we have to like move all the seats and like put all the, like basically cleaning, and then they're like we can't let people know that we sit. And I think about that all the time because someone else drew an image of Philly Jonk yelling that we can't let people know that we sit. And that's basically me with art, where it's like, oh, a human made this because there are errors here. This isn't perfectly streamlined. They're gonna know that I'm human. We can't let people know that I'm. I don't know what the equivalent of we can't let people know that I sit would be. We can't let people know that I drew it, that I draw, despite people seeing it. We can't let people know. Anyway, yeah, that video should be out sometime. Hopefully I can release both of those videos at the same time, like this one and that one. Yay! I think I flew through that question. Holy shit. Then the next one is by janfal 4252. Q&A. Hell yeah! First off, hope you're doing good. Oh, right. Okay, wait. You mentioned my roommate. The roommate situation last time, trashtastic. Things are going all right as they can be. I think that he's actually doing all right. He's going back to school and stuff, so that's awesome. Anyway, hope you're back to janfal. Sorry, sorry for entering your room and then running back to the previous room and then running back in here. First off, hope you're doing good with that kind of stress. Seems like a lot to deal with. Second off, when making your music, who or what are you usually inspired by? Another thing, how do you manage to blend your visual art and your music stuff together? I've always been super intrigued on what your whole thought process was on tying in a whole storyline and everything with multiple types of art. P.S. You don't gotta answer this, but what's your favorite food? Alright, who am I inspired by when making music? This is kind of hard to answer. I know that I used to actively be inspired by things, but now it's like pulling teeth. Like, I used to be really inspired by pogo, used to be inspired by techno music and Susumu Hirasawa, Latin music. I grew up with that, 80s music, anime music, honestly. I had like a CD when I was a kid that had anime openings. It had like Evangelion, it had Cardcaptor Sakura. It had some other songs that I loved these songs so much. I must have been like 6. I had this CD and I would listen to these tracks and I loved them so much that like I would write down the lyrics. Oh, dot hack sign ending Yasashi Yoake, I think it's called. I would write down the lyrics that I would hear and I would just listen to these songs and just write them down and then try to sing along. So I think that actually really helped with like trying to sample things later. Like I was enthralled by this vocal audio that was not understandable to me but still communicated feelings. So that's a big one, I would say. But right now, inspiration is kind of hard for me to feel. I'm struggling with a lot of my feelings. Like having feelings, my responsibility OCD makes it so that like if I'm around anyone else, like, okay, like I watched Howl's Moving Castle in theaters recently with my dad, and during like emotional moments, I wasn't like, oh my god, this is such an emotional moment and I'm feeling these. I was like, oh my god, how's my dad feeling? Does he like this? Does he dislike this? Does it make him think of XYZ or ABC? And like I noticed myself doing that. So there was like another me in the theater watching myself having this reaction and going, what the fuck is this shit? What the fuck? So I struggle lately. So with music, it would be like, oh, everyone's gonna know that I'm copying this person. Like, as if inspiration isn't okay. Like, it's hard. I have difficulty with inspiration in general because of stuff when I was 15 and people, like, stealing my characters. And even before that. And bleh, a lot. Basically, a lot. TM. And I'm trying. I've been doing my weekly stuff, and that's been helping, you know, but I always judge myself, man. I judge myself so hard. Like, the current song I'm working on, which I think is the 83rd one, it's kind of, like, ambient, but then it's got, like, the breakcore kind of drums, the aim and breaks and shit, and, I feel lazy. I feel lazy when I make music sometimes. Like, if I'm not doing some kind of elaborate thing that no one's ever heard before, then I'm like, this sucks. No one's gonna want to listen to this. No one likes my music anymore. I'm never gonna live up to Bravo Cat. That was lightning in a bottle. Blah, blah. And it's like, Blaze, I don't have to be revolutionizing music. In fact, it's when I'm not punishing myself that I do things that really stand out. And it feels so counterintuitive. And this wasn't even your question, was it? Okay, who or what are you usually inspired by? Shit. YouTube poop music videos. Always. Okay, yes. That inspired me a lot. Like, there was a Toho song that gets used. Might be Red Zone, might be Night of Nights. Oh, I get those two confused. I'm sorry. But there is a track where I was just listening to that and trying to play it by ear in FL Studio, and it actually like super inspired Bravo Cat, because the bass would do this thing where it would just like oscillate really fast, like from high to low, and I was just like, what the shit? You can do that? I'm so bad at bass. I'm so bad at bass and drums. Or, well, maybe I'm not bad at it. Maybe I just think I'm bad at it, so then I feel like I'm bad at it, and then I become bad at it, you know, like a feedback loop. But so I did that for like all of Bravo Cat, and I still do that sometimes. Anyway, yeah, it's just hard. It's been hard, but inspiration. Sometimes I hear things in music, and I'm like, oh, I know how I could do that probably. Like, I could probably reverse a cymbal and, like, make it louder as it blah, blah, you know, and then I'll be like, oh, but that's so much effort. That's so much work. So, like, my inspiration kind of dies in the face of my fear of, like, perfectionism. For me, perfectionism manifests very strongly with effort. Like, if I have to put effort, I'm not being perfect about it. Like, if I have to try, it's like, okay, it's really, it's really contradictory, because if I'm not making something really beautiful and amazing, if I'm not putting effort, if it's low, like, if it feels easy, I feel like I'm doing a bad job. But if I'm trying too hard, if I have to put a lot of effort for something sometimes, then it's bad, because real musicians would have this on point, would already have something automated for it. I don't fucking know. And it sucks. My inspiration gets kind of crushed by these things. I'm trying. I'm trying my best. But who inspires me now? Like I said, I just kind of listen to a song here and there, and sometimes just get a little idea. I don't know if I've been inspired lately very much. Honestly, I really need to just stop caring. I'm trying really hard to stop caring about things that my OCD tries to force me to care about. One thing that has suffered a lot is my sample usage. I used to just watch shit and just sample it and not give a fuck. And 2010's The Album came from that, where I was like, I'm just gonna make an album that I'm not that I'm not gonna sell. Haha. It's not gonna be a good album, it's just gonna be whatever it is, and I'm just gonna put all whatever samples I want and not worry about it because I'm not selling it. I get scared that I'm just gonna get sued, or like someone's gonna hurt me over it for some reason, and so that makes me really skittish to do anything. And then that makes it feel like I can't be inspired by things, because if I'm inspired by something, I'm going to want to put it in music. And if I'm going to want to put it in music, then I'm going to have to ask permission. But nobody ever replies when you ask permission. I have tried to ask permission, and people just don't give a shit because you don't have an agent or whatever. And it's really frustrating. And there's all this mixed information on sampling, like, oh, if you just use a little bit of sampling, it's okay. But then people are like, no, if you use any sampling, then you'll get sued. And it sucks. And like, after a point, I'm just like, either I make music and I get in trouble at some point, or I make music but I'm not happy with what I'm doing, I'm not inspired, and more I'm just really not happy with the latter choice. But it's just hard because I would like to coordinate and be sure that like people are okay with me using their music or projects or whatever for my own music, because I appreciate when people ask me, but I'm one guy and it's really overwhelming, and my OCD doesn't make it easier. But enough of that tangent. Your next question was, how do you manage to blend your visual art and your music stuff together? I don't quite understand this question because to me, I feel like my music and my art kind of stand out like sore thumbs. But I think what you're asking me is like, Bravo Cat is a story that I want to make. Twain Tense is a story I want to make. So how do I connect that? I guess. But I mean, you mentioned visual art, but like I draw, for Bravo Cat and Twain Tense, I draw, based on a feeling relating to the story, typically. I have no idea. I always think that my shit comes out ugly. I'm just being real. I think it's like ugly as fuck most of the time. Not all the time. I think Seven of Secrets looks really cool. Dichotomy is fucking cool. He's one of my Flora characters. And I actually really struggle with that. Like sometimes I have music that's done, I just don't have a title, and that takes forever to think of one. Or I don't have a piece of art to go with it, and I just kind of have to shit one out. I just have to make it. I just have to go, or else it'll sit on the shelf for 9 years, and then I won't want to post it because I forgot it existed. Because again, if it's not in my peripheral vision, it's gone. You might as well have thrown that into the void. But I guess sometimes it helps based on the samples I've used or what I'm thinking of when I make the music. I mean, for a character in the music, it would be obvious that I'm going to draw the character. Like Michael's theme has Michael on it. But also, like Twain Tense stuff, part of it is what is the vibe that I'm going for and what makes me think of that vibe. Like, Twain Tense art all looks kind of grungy, and I love it. I love how grungy it looks, even if it's not the best thing. What the fuck is the last track called? I've forgotten. I could look, but I want to remember. There's Always and Always to Be. There's Past to Present, I think. I remember the title is like something like The End. Like it's like an ending feeling title. Fuck it, I'm gonna look. I don't remember. All to Dust! Damn it, okay. I remember for All to Dust, I had this feeling of like, this is the end. So kind of like the end of a play sort of feeling. Like, now all of the characters come out and bow. Like, now you get to clap and shit. And I made it more stylized, I just drew it in marker or ink. I think it was marker. And I colored it with color pencil. And then I scanned the back of my scanner. Like, I didn't put anything on the scanner, so it just scanned itself. And then I put that as a texture. Like, I just played with textures so that things felt kind of dissonant a bit. Like even though it's a play or it's sort of stylized in a way, it's also bleak feeling. So when I'm working with my music and my art together, that's what I'm thinking of. Honestly, I struggle with art too lately. I'm trying to develop my own inner language for what makes me feel what, but the hard part is the feeling, like knowing what I feel. But I'm getting better, I think. And sometimes I just really like to be spontaneous. Like if I have a picture that I just took lying around, I'll like slap it in there. It's been a while since I've posted music with art, so hopefully that was accurate. What's my favorite food? That's a good question. I don't know. I like bread. I like different types of bread. Pan francés is really nice. I don't know if it has an English word for it, but it's a Peruvian bread, even though the literal English translation is French bread. But I eat it in Peru, and we buy it from Peruvian shops here. I like salad with chicken and grapes. My palate is very limited. My life experiences are pretty limited in general. Let me look at my notes. I didn't look at my notes. Oops. Oh shit, okay. Sonic music. Holy shit. Sonic music definitely inspired the fuck out of me. I don't know about recently, but I think the first song I ever edited was Radical Highway, where I repeated the track. Like, there was like a part of the track that I liked, but it was only at one point, so like I edited it so that it would loop again. And I could probably recreate it for this video. Let me do that and like play what I mean. Hi, this is Pengo from the future. So there's a problem. I looked up Radical Highway, and the part I seem to remember was not a thing. Like, it must not have been Radical Highway, so I'm not sure what song it was. I have this very clear memory of, like, editing around in probably an old version of Audacity, cobbling together this piece of Sonic music. But I guess I won't be able to recreate it for you guys, because I don't know which one it is. So that was fun. I think that's it. If I think of anything else, I guess if I think of anything else and I'm willing to edit it, I will get into this. Let's see. ruminaqq 6752 asks, hey, wow, Q&A sounds interesting. Pango! I really want to know if there are songs you did in the past that now you think could be improved or remade, or it would just be insightful to know your outlook on your past work. What do you think of it, and etc. Woo! I am constantly comparing myself to my past work in unhealthy ways. Like earlier I was like, oh, I'll never live up to Bravo Cat or whatever. That happens a lot. I feel like I'll look back at my old work and be like, wow, I was so good back then. But then, like when I was making the music, I was like, I suck so bad. So I'm sure I will look back at this point in time and be like, oh my god, I was so good back then, and now I'm not. But as for, like, music I could improve or remake, I don't know. I mean, there are some tracks where I didn't alter the sample to not make, like, this clicking noise that I don't like to hear, because I didn't know I could do that, and I didn't even hear the clicking noise before. So some of my older tracks have that. But apart from that, I feel like the older music, like the instrumentation, all of that is part of the song. If I remade it, it would not be the same, you know? Like, if it would be... I'm basically saying, if I changed it, it would be changed. And I don't think I need to do that. There are a few places, there are some songs where I wasn't happy with something, but I still finished it and like, posted it, and I think of the thing I'm not happy about every single time I hear the song. But I don't know. I don't really... Like, I'm not like, oh, I'm gonna remaster Bravo Cat. I don't fucking know anything about mixing. I don't know shit about audio levels and things. I really don't know what I'm doing. Like, it makes me kind of anxious that I don't know what I'm doing, because honestly, I kind of don't care, but I feel like I should care. Like, I feel like, people will listen to my music and know that I don't know what I'm doing and then be mean to me about it, or think internally like, oh, Pengo Solvent, you should have raised the EQ high fucking whatever here and lowered it here, and because you didn't, it sounds muddy and bad. This sounds bad, Pengo Solvent, and I'm gonna let you know. And it haunts me. That's the responsibility OCD, where I feel responsible for this person's feelings, that I made them feel hatred and disgust, and I don't want that. But I should just not care, because I don't... As long as I'm happy with what I make, then I'm happy. And I don't care if it doesn't sound as crisp as it can. But I struggle. This video is a struggle video so far. I miss the days where I sampled more freely I really want to get back to that, but it's kind of hard too because I get weird when people recognize my samples. Like right now, I don't feel weird about it. Like right now, if people were like, "Yeah, that's from Moral Oral and that's from Pen Pen Triathlon," I'd be normal. I'd be normal. But sometimes people talk about my samples in these ways that feel like they're trying to get close to me. It's really hard to explain. It's like they recognize the thing and they get really happy and they talk to me like we're connecting. And we're not. I don't know who they are. And it I have a big personal space bubble, and I it's hard for me sometimes, and I don't know how to handle it. I'm learning. I'm going to therapy. I've been going to therapy. Guys, mental illness is hard. Newsflash, just in case you didn't know. And I think that's it. Did I answer that question so quickly? Yeah, I guess so. I guess I could talk about, I mentioned earlier there are some... Oh, no, wait, no. Did I mention this? It's in my notes, but I don't think I mentioned it exactly. There are some changes to songs. Like, for example, I think Catfish Instrument is different on YouTube versus Bandcamp. It originally used Happy Joe Laughter. Okay, one of them, I think it was Happy Joe Laughter came first. Maybe. It's showtime. And then I edited it to be Laughter of Popo from Kaiba. It's showtime. Because I think one of my friends at the time had told me, like, you always use this sample. You should use a different sample. And I felt bad. I felt really bad. I felt very like, oh, okay. And so I did it. But now I feel kind of sad about that because I was having fun with the way it was. But also, I changed it. But it was still Laughter, and now there's two versions of the song that exist. So, that's that, I guess. So there's a little bit of trivia. Okay, hi, it's me from the future again. I just wanted to clarify, I actually like the Popo version more. I don't hold it against this person that they thought that I was using a sample too much, but due to my own issues, I do end up feeling rejection very strongly, even if they don't mean for me to be rejected. Like, that's how I perceived it. So it's more like it makes me sad that I felt like I did a bad job, I guess. I felt very poorly, and like I only had value if I did change the sample. And even though I do like the end result, I don't feel like I needed to experience that negative emotion. Which, again, I don't think that person wanted me to feel. It's just an internal thing. And I don't think that was clear in what I meant earlier, what I said earlier. So I just wanted to clarify that. Let's move on to the next one. I'm running out of steam, so I'm like halfway through the music's track. So depending on how long this question is, I'm probably gonna record the second half of this video at another point in time, but we'll see. I mean, it'll be the same for you because it'll be edited to be one big video. But anyway, dogwovl. I don't think that's how it's supposed to be pronounced, but I do like saying it, dogwovl. says, I didn't know that you listened to Pogo. You were inspired, and once upon a time you wrote music inspired by it. I'm a big fan of Pogo, so much so that even his music inspired me to start my own. 4 years ago, I found you by chance, and I have no words how much I fell in love with your music. Your work means a lot to me. You are like two different, unique worlds to me. It was absolutely amazing to me when I saw you in his subscriptions. It was as if the universe had closed in. Question. How did you feel about Pogo and his music before you changed your mind about him? And then, what do you think about the culture of remixes and music modeled after which movie or cartoon? Okay, so how I felt about Pogo, I was really inspired. I thought it was incredible that you could just sample things. Like, I'd always liked sampling. I'd always liked weird sort of cut up vocals, but I didn't know you could just do that. Like, I remember this song Omnibus would sample, like, would repeat this little clip, like Omnibus, and like I loved that song when I was a kid. I would anytime the radio played that shit, I was jamming out. And so Pogo was really inspiring to me because it was like seeing a new world of being able to take these feelings and repeat them and mold them. And it was very painful when you know, he posted his like rant about women, and I don't know, like I've processed that more now at this point, and I'm able to separate that for myself a bit more. Like, I need to be able to connect to things that inspired me and that I loved before so that I can remember how to do it again. But it really did suck, yeah, because it was really amazing. As for, what do you think about the culture of remixes and music modeled after a movie or cartoon? I don't know what that culture is. I'm really isolated, I guess. I don't really talk to many other musicians very frequently about music. Like, if I know people who make music, we're not talking about music a lot. I don't know how to talk about music. I mean, like, I'm a fan. Like, if people want to make music based on cartoons, hell yes. Like, I would listen to, like I said, I would listen to YouTube poop music videos, and I would listen to, pony songs where they would, like, chop up the pony tracks. Like, So Great and Powerful did that. I do want to say, though, like, for anyone becoming activated right now, I don't know that many pony songs. Like, I listened So Great and Powerful, and there was, like, someone else that I've already forgotten. I would have to look in my favorites, and that's it. But, I think it's cool. Like, 99 Nun, my, like, side music thing, I really would love if I could just, like, you know how, like, people sample anime girls and, like, anime a lot? I want 99 Nun to, like, just sample old cartoons a lot, and it feels like you're listening to an old cartoon just, like, amped up to 20. Like, I would really love that. So, like, I sample Looney Tunes and shit sometimes, and that's fun. I want more tune-sounding music. I want it. So, that's that, I guess. That's gonna continue in the next half. Okay, back to it. So, what looks like a little bored guy giving 8 thumbs up. Wait, 8? 7 thumbs up. No way. Is this the B-Cube? Your pencil drawings back in the day were a huge inspiration for me, so seeing this post really sent me through a time portal. Thoughts on breakcore? When I hear your music, I feel like it totally would slap with some crazy aim and breaks and shit. Okay, so being referred to as B-Cube makes me feel like, first of all, you're a caveman that unfroze from ice and sent me this comment. And second, there was this book series, Bartimaeus Trilogy or something, that I read as a kid. And there were these jinns that were basically like chilling in a formless dimension until you knew their true name, in which case you could summon them. I kind of feel like that right now, like you just called one of my true names. Anyway, breakcore. So I'm gonna be really real here. There are a few aspects. Oh shit! Wait, I forgot. By the fuck. Okay, I need to slow down. What am I trying to say? I'm glad that my pencil stuff inspired you. It's maybe awkward to say that after the fact. Like, I thought of it, but when I'm reading a question, my thoughts basically go into the void when I'm reading the question, because if not, I would be interrupting constantly. But yeah, so thoughts on breakcore. It's kind of hard for me to have thoughts on breakcore, because I get really scared of people who seem to really like breakcore in this way where they will attack anybody who is wrong about breakcore. Like, I will be chilling and listening to some song and read the comments, and people will be like, this isn't breakcore. People are really awful and terrible and should die or something. And they talk with this tone where it feels like they would erase you from existence if they could. Just for being wrong about breakcore. They're very firm about it. And I don't know if that's just like the RSD, rejection sensitive dysphoria, or if like this is a legitimate thing. Like, I don't know if I'm just imagining these people to be scarier than they really are, but as a result, I just don't really think about breakcore. I'm really bad at music genres. I'm really bad at registering sounds and categorizing those sounds. Like, people who can describe sounds, like describe them using various terms. Like, I can't even think of terms to show what I mean. Like, this happened the other day where I was watching a video and someone mentioned a sound, and I was like, oh, this sounds like XYZ. And I was like, oh my god, that's such a good word. I should remember that word. But I don't remember what the sound was, so I don't remember what the word was. I'm not, like, this is part of why I've not been able to teach myself music theory, because I can't memorize what notes are A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Like, I can't recognize upon sound, oh, this is C. Like the way that I sort of check is I sit mentally, well, no, being real, I can't mentally do it. I have to, like, sing it out loud. The do, re, mi, like, do, re, mi, like, I try to do that, and I assume that do is C, but now that I'm saying it out loud, I could be wrong. I have no idea. I really don't have any idea, so it's really hard for me to have any sort of understanding of genres and music that relies on sound recognition, which is not a good situation for me making music. I do think I like breakcore, what I think is breakcore, and I think that on 99 None, I've used amen breaks, amen breaks. I'm not sure what the agreed upon pronunciation is, but I have used them. But I do get really tormented by my own mind when I use them sometimes, because I think I've already mentioned this. I haven't re-listened to what I've already recorded, so I might repeat myself. But my OCD and my perfectionism and whatever, I get so stressed out about not putting enough effort. I've definitely talked about this. I think I did talk about this, but I get stressed out about not putting enough effort. So when I just slam in an amen break, almond break, almond break, I get very nervous. Like, oh, I'm not putting in enough effort. I just sampled a beat. Now everyone's gonna know that I'm lazy and bad, and it kind of sucks. So, you know, same with everything. I'd like to do more. I think I like breakcore, but I am plagued by a mental illness that definitionally tries to attack everything I love. Um, but sometimes it works out. But yeah, 99 None. I think some of the tracks like Macaroni and Depression might fit. Wonderland. I'm like grazing over my notes and I have a lot written here, but I'm realizing that none of this is actually what you asked. Like I just started writing a bunch of shit. Oh my god. Like I started talking about music commissions and I'm like, nobody asked about that. I don't ask that. I don't tend to like to think about music. Wait a minute. I'm getting no. Okay, editing Pengo here. I was not clear in the audio, but what happened was I realized that I was getting distracted by the same thing that distracted me in my notes, talking about music commission issues. So I try to reel back my attention to the question itself. I agree. I think it would slap with some crazy amen breaks and shit. Part of the problem is I'm tired a lot. I'm so tired all the time. And, like, beats take effort in this way that I don't know how to word. But, I mean, I guess that's everything. I don't know how to word anything. When I'm in the mood for it, God, it's a blast. And when I'm not, I want to crawl under a rock. I guess, sorry, this is the quality of answer your question is getting. Sorry that you summoned me from the depths and all I had to say was that. Wait, shit! Ah, damn it! That was a compulsory apology. I'm not sorry. I'm not sorry that my response was not that great. At least I responded at all. Let's move on before I get stuck on this question. So you've got Kelper 1212. I was really thinking long and hard for this one. Question. Which song and character was the hardest to make? Okay, so this question is itself really difficult. I don't know what song would be the hardest to make. Like, the first that comes to mind is Bridge Fall. I made a video about how... I made two videos, actually, because the first part... Because the song originally started as Who Knew This Die, Who Knew the Sky. It started as a draft for that, and then diverged into Bridgefall. That one, I remember, took a long time. And, like, a lot of very nuanced editing. But honestly, like, all songs are hard for me to make now. Well, okay, no, I'm not going to say that, because sometimes I just, like... There'll just be a song that I do, and I'm like, yes, this is it! And it'll just come out, just fully formed. It'll be a fully fledged homunculus and beautiful. But music, for the most part, is really hard for me. I'm gonna have to give the title to Bridgefall, because I don't remember right now. I mean, I guess, like, a mathematician, whatever the full title was, a mathematician continues to drown, whatever, the King Deer mix. because that took a long time, and I was fighting horrific self-doubt the entire time. Bravo Clap also took a while, but I feel like Bravo Clap was different in that once I picked up speed, it was it. I basically knocked out so much of it in one go. The King Deer mix was painful. I mean, that suits them. Bravo Cat is definitely the more spontaneous of the two. King Deer struggles. Which character was the hardest to make is a question I do not think I can answer, because I don't know how I would answer that. I don't know how to categorize difficulty of character. Is it like difficulty in the story and the design? And I don't really keep those memories. I mean, I don't keep many memories. My brain is riddled with holes, and I don't know. Like, I'm trying to think. I mean, it would be like an obvious choice would be if I were to make a design that has a lot of small details, but I don't like doing that. So I don't think I have many designs with a lot of small details. Like, there are people who make these like really beautiful elaborate outfits, and I can't even think of those outfits up. So like, I don't know. I don't think I can answer that. I'm like trying to think of a character that's just difficult for me, but I just can't. I mean, there are characters that are not finalized in their designs yet, and I also can't think of who they are at the moment, but that doesn't feel like, oh, they're the hardest character ever. I mean, like, thinking about the song too now, like, maybe not even Bridgefall, maybe just Who Knew This Die, Who Knew This Guy. But I don't know if that's true either, because there's a lot of songs that I used to just let sit and I would come back to, but that's happened less lately because I just don't go back to them. And I've been doing my weekly songs. And how I determine difficulty right now is like this trudging feeling. And I don't think Bridgefall had that exactly. King Deer had that. The King Deer track had that. But I don't think... I know, Realization of Self-Importance had some of that. The start of that song sat there for, like, years. I just don't think I can quantify this in my state of mind right now. Because every song feels like I am underwater and trying to swim up, but I'm not underwater, so it's pretty futile. It's just the feeling doesn't, like, shake off of me for some reason. Let's see. Next is Apideer. I'm so sorry to hear about your roommate. I hope you are okay and everything gets better for you. Your music and art have inspired me so much and helped me cope with so much. You deserve the best. I generally don't know what would happen if I didn't find your music, and I've learned about how much pain you go through after learning about them, and I truly wish you the best recovery. My question is, how do you come up with lyrics and the melody of them? Like, what does the process look like of making lyrics, and music in general too, but you don't have to answer that part if it's too complicated to explain? I hope that's an okay question to ask. Lyrics is a good question. For music in general, I'm going to be uploading that video. I need to edit that video. Oh my god, I have no idea what that's going to be like. But, lyrics. I did write some notes here. Okay, so I wrote... there's two separate paths. The first, which happened for songs like Hizzle Just Okay, no. Okay. Hill's Just Prison. I think someone I knew had been like, oh, I keep reading it like Hisseljust. And then I was like, fuck! Shit! That's a good name! That's better than Hill's Just. Hisseljust. But I wrote Hill's Just, and so I'm kind of playing a game of chicken with myself where I get really close to changing his name to Hisseljust, but I just keep trying to keep it as Hill's Just. The first which happened for songs like Hill's Just Prison is that I am doing something and humming or singing and the lyrics just kind of happen. Yes, that's true. I used to sing when I would shower, and I came up with the song in the shower. I do not sing anymore in the shower, which is like kind of sad actually. Like I realized that the other day that it's been years since I've just like sung in the shower. When that used to be a little like creative outlet for me, I guess. The second option is that I have a song I'm making and I suddenly feel like it would be good if there are words there. That is true. A recent weekly song I did, I just put in lyrics that would like read by Google text-to-speech, like Google Translate, and it was just like, I am tired of being clear, coherent, and comprehensible. I'd rather be memorable. And that was just because I was getting so stressed out in the song, because I get so focused on like making a melody sound quote unquote good instead of making the melody sound how I want it to sound. And those are different places in my brain. The former, sounding good, is laden with OCD. It is rife with it. And sometimes the lyrics happen based on a sample I'm using. A previous, when I was doing daily songs, before they were weekly songs, there was a song with lyrics that sampled Glitter and Be Gay from the Candide operetta. And the lyrics I added ended up being, here's where it happens, here's the whole show. Where does the wheel stop? Don't nobody know. Only as stuck as your mind tells you so. The pieces once left behind you rescue and grow.
Once left behind you rescue and grow.
So the idea of a show, like here's the whole show, was already probably in my head from the fact that I was sampling the Candide operetta. Candide, the novella, I really like. It means a lot to me, and like I've referenced it before, like in King Deer to Calm Candide. So there's already a feeling from Candide in these lyrics. Like for me, what is really iconic, what I really care about from Candide is the idea of tending to one's garden. Like the whole world could be occurring and you just have to focus on your own growth and what you love. And I mean, when I say it like that, it sounds like the plot to every sort of feel-good movie and book and whatever, but I don't know. If you boil down everything enough, they all just sound the same, but for some reason I liked Candide. I have to reread it. I haven't in a while. So having that feeling of like growth and self-focus, I have a character called Candide that holds a lot of that, and so that would affect the lyrics as well, where only as stuck as your mind tells you so, the pieces once left behind you rescue and grow. I've already got that sort of growth feeling, and it just translates into the lyrics. Okay, I was reading my notes, and like I wrote a lot about like Candide, the character I have, and more relating to the lyrics, but that's not related to how I come up with. Wait a minute, am I being too literal right now? Fuck. Oh, today's not the best day for answering questions, is it? It's fine. Another thing for lyrics is I think imagery matters a lot to me. Like, where does the wheel stop after the line about the show makes me think about game shows. I actually don't watch a lot of game shows. I don't like game shows. But I like the aesthetic of it, like the covering of game shows for something that is high stress. And there's an uncertainty there, and an uncertainty, OCD really doesn't like uncertainty. I have been learning about that lately, in learning about my OCD and just generally how OCD functions. So here's where it happens. Here's the whole show. Where does the wheel stop? Don't nobody know. Really harkens to that for me, like the uncertainty. I don't know where the wheel is going to stop. I can't control the wheel. There's also the aspect that you're not the only one trying to see where the wheel stops. You know, like people are watching along with you, and that is also something that is ever present ever present in my OCD journey. So yeah, I guess the answer to what does the process look like of making lyrics is just kind of figuring out what I feel about what I'm making, or it just kind of happens. I really don't have a streamlined process. I kind of wish I did. It would be easier if I could just be like, I think this song needs some lyrics, and then like follow 1, 2, 3 steps, and then I have some lyrics. No, unfortunately not. Alright. Grit from Advance Wars. Hiya, Pengo. Been a fan for around 7 years at this point, and I always loved your art and music. It's great that I am just now seeing this post. I have a few questions if that's okay. One is, where are you usually most active making posts? I follow your Twitter, but I don't know where you actually post your art. Another is, do you still do music commissions or just strictly art commissions? Lastly, what instrumentals for your music do you usually use? Like your go-tos, generally. I hope this comment finds you well and that things are getting better. I love seeing your posts always. That's very kind. Thank you. Oh, I think I didn't say thank you, or like, I didn't say a positive thing for the last question where they were like inspired and it helped them a lot. I get that a bit, where people are like, yeah, your stuff really helped me process things, and it's very humbling when that happens. I almost can't process it myself. Like, I feel like, oh, they're just saying that sometimes. I know that's low self-esteem. I'm aware. But I also feel like I do appreciate it on some level, and I would really like to appreciate it on a fuller level. So, we're usually most active making posts. Okay, that used to be co-host, but co-host has shut down. I do not use Twitter. I use Instagram sometimes, but honestly, it's not really that involved. I mainly post on my server now, and I am posting more on my website. I'm posting my comics on there.
Hello. So there was a section here about how I wanted to find a comic posting site to post on. And I did. I got recommended Comic Theory and I looked into it a little bit, and so now I'm using that. I'm slowly uploading my comics on there and reading comics there. So Comic Theory is another place I post my work now. Or, well, I'm in the process of uploading my work there.
Yeah. So, I guess my server, my site, I might start posting on a comic site. For music commissions or strictly art commissions, I mainly do art commissions. I want to be very careful about how I word this because I do not want a flood of emails from people being like, "Oh my god, you do music commissions, I want one," because I technically don't. I do make music for Sony, and we talked it out. You know, like Sony has been really kind to me and worked with me over the years, and so I feel comfortable doing music commissions with Sony. They're really, really kind about how long I take. And sometimes, like if I've worked with someone before, I might be open to it, but generally not anymore. Really not a thing anymore. I do kind of keep it in my back pocket, like if I really, really need money, maybe I could do that, but at the same time, I don't even think I can. I have such a difficult time making music in general that, okay, it's weird, because like sometimes with commissions, the fact that someone else has to think about what they want makes it easier for me, because they will have touch points about what they want their song to sound like. While when I try to make music for myself, I don't know what I want my song to sound like. So sometimes it is a little easier, but other times it's a lot harder. It's way harder. It's way harder and way more stressful because like now I'm having to make music and it might not be what's wanted, or they might not get it, or something that happens with commissioners is that they think that they understand what they're gonna get. So they say like, just go crazy with it. Just go wild. Go stupid. I'm sure whatever you make, I'll love it. And this is one of the more stressful situations for me to be in. Like when people are like, have fun with it. I don't know how to do that with commissions. Unless, like I said, with Sony, like we've worked long enough that things, I'm more comfortable. And if I don't know you, even if you're very nice to me, I still, like I've experienced people be nice to me and then turn around at the drop of a hat. So there's always this feeling of like, I don't actually know that it's safe to actually do what I want to do here. And if it were up to me, I wouldn't be doing this probably because I'm doing it for money. If it were up to me, I'd be doing my own thing. So it's kind of hard to get into that mentality. And so then I feel like I'm doing it wrong. Like, oh shit, they wanted me to have fun and I'm not having fun. How do I have fun? When you're actively trying to have fun, or at least for me, when I'm actively trying to have fun because someone told me to have fun, I don't have fun. Like it's really hard. I'm learning. Oh God, am I learning to try to have feelings? What instrumentals for your music do you usually use? Like your go-tos generally? Let me see if I wrote notes on this because, okay, so I think you mean like instruments like synths. And for that, I use a lot of Citrus from FL Studio. I use Harmor and Harmless from FL Studio. I feel a little nervous saying this because when I was like learning to make music, I would see people be like, never use the defaults of FL Studio, never use the defaults, I will judge you if you do this. And I felt so bad about this, but I just still use them because I like them. Yeah, I like them, and I don't know. I'm getting nostalgic now. Those sounds have been with me for a long time. And I remember my excitement at hearing them. Like, Dream Bell is one that I was just so delighted when I first found it. And it's kind of... I don't even know what I want to say here. I'm just like, damn, I really like those instruments. I really wish I could do them some more justice or something. Dreamy is another one. Dreamy is kick-ass when I can use it well. Yeah, and Harmer and Harmless, I've been trying to make my own instruments every so often. Those are fun to experiment with, but yeah, I mean, there's not much more to say, I guess. I don't really know off the top of my head many things about instruments or synths. And raccoonpope 7143. Hi Pengo, I'm a relatively young fan, and I've been one of your music for a year or two, and by far you've been cemented as my favorite artist for a year now. Your music has impacted my life, and so I've got a question regarding that. From what I see in comments, a lot of people's lives are impacted by your music. Did you intend to reach out to people in that way, or do you just post for fun? Also, how do you feel about hearing things like that? Love your art. Okay, hi raccoonpope. I believe that you are the one who, like, tried to join the server. Did you intend to reach out to people in that way, or did you just post for fun? I do not remember. I don't think I intended to change people's lives. That would be a really weird... Like, it's not bad if you do have that goal, but, like, for myself, knowing how I was when I was, like, 15, that feels very out of place. Yeah, I don't think that I intended to. I really don't think that I intended to do that. I think I just thought music was so cool. I just thought music was amazing. And I guess that's posting for fun. I really wanted to create. And maybe it's obvious now that I'm struggling to connect with that. Like, now I don't know why I do it. I kind of feel like I get very caught up in, well, I have to make it now because people like my stuff and I don't want to just give up making music forever. I would like to be able to capture that magic again for myself. Like that feeling of just having fun. How do you feel about hearing things like that? I think I actually touched on this a little earlier. I am humbled that people care about my music to that degree. It's kind of hard to conceptualize it. Like, my brain is so riddled with fear. Like, just being really real about it, my brain is just so riddled with fear that it's really hard to accept the positivity that's around me. I try to. Like, me replying with this Q&A video and not just giving up on it is part of that effort. I'm trying to connect more with people, but, like, still maintaining boundaries, hence my server rules being so robust. But I feel like I would like it if I could value when people share with me like this and actually feel from it more, and not just like, oh, they're just saying that, but the moment I ask them a question or something, they won't like me anymore. Because, like, that happens sometimes where people, like, say something and I ask a question and I guess I don't do it gracefully enough thanks to whatever stew I've got going on in my brain. And then people get scared of me and upset with me, or I don't know what else. And I mean, okay, I don't want to blame myself entirely, because sometimes people aren't reading my tone well. Sometimes they have the fear brain, and I'm trying to be nice, but they can't see it that way. And I don't want to necessarily blame them for that, but I don't want to blame myself for that either. But yeah, I just want to... I don't know, I just miss when I could speak online and feel like I'm just kind of having fun instead of being afraid all the time. I mean, I've always been afraid to varying degrees, but yeah. Also, I had to pause in the middle of answering this question because it turns out I'm sick today. So that kind of explains some of the weird vibes earlier, but you know, That's how it is sometimes. And we've got one question left, which is going to be a short one. Well, actually, no, wait. My miscellaneous question, too. I'm going to think about that one. But the next one is by iamnato XX7394. Hello. The questions I have are, 1. Do you plan to find a record label to sign to, I guess? And number 2, how long do you plan to still make music? 1. Absolutely not. I don't understand record labels. I don't really understand how to want to be on one. Like, it just kind of... I think of kind of horror stories of like, oh, I signed my rights away and stuff like that. And I'm just like, I don't need that. I'm not really here to, like, get my music heard at every corner of the earth, you know? Like, I don't feel like I want a distributor. And 2, how long do you plan to make music? As long as I want to do it. It's been very slow lately because I'm just really not happy with what I make. I mean, I have made some tracks, I just haven't posted it. I was, like, organizing all of my Flora tracks and stuff, but that's on pause for now. I don't know. I guess that's it. That's it for the question. Yay! We got through the music section. Okay. And the miscellaneous question. Lost Kid says, ooh, a Q&A. Well, I've recently watched Evangelion, and then I realized that your song Cry Me to the Moon was about that scene from the show. So what's your opinion on Evangelion? Since it's a really confusing thing to watch and understand, do you have your own interpretations or any theories that you'd like to share? Also, I love your music and art, and I'm glad that you're back. You were a really huge inspiration for me. Thank you. So, in order to actually answer this, I had to rewatch Evangelion. I don't know what the pronunciation is. I say it different pretty much every time. Because when I first made Cry Me to the Moon, I hated it. I hated Evangelion really badly. But I could tell from my memory that I did not understand it. Like, there was no way in hell that I actually grasped whatever it was that people liked about the show. At the time, I did not realize that a show could be uncomfortable on purpose. I think that's the simplest way I can describe it. I was in a watch party for it, I believe, and I would sit through multiple episodes at a time and generate this huge tension inside of me while I was watching it, and not realize that the tension is kind of the point. Like, at least that's how I interpret it now. I feel like there's a lot that goes unacknowledged in Evangelion at the start, and then starts to be more acknowledged through how much damage the cast have. Like, Kaji was a big one. I really did not like him. And I still didn't like him for a long time. Now I'm neutral towards him. And towards the end of the rewatch, I feel a little bit more neutral towards him. But I still really, really did not like him at the start. And Misato is another one. I really did not like her little sound whenever she'd drink beer. I think I included that in Cry Me to the Moon because it was just burned in my brain. There was such a dissonance between, like, her inviting Shinji to live with her, which is, like, a big responsibility for her to take care of Shinji. And then the way she did take care of him was just basically him taking care of her to a degree. Like, more towards the end, I was more forgiving of her, and I kind of like her more now, knowing her whole deal, and, like, when she started to get a little bit more real about things. But at the start, where there was so much unacknowledged, I was so stressed out and upset, and I had to watch in bursts. I took a really long time watching this, because I didn't think my reaction to Evangelion would get better. I thought, like, I would need space between every single episode for a long period of time. Because I did not want to hate it this time around. I did not want to go, oh, this is so bad, none of the characters do anything, all the characters, like, if if it matters so much that these kids are going to be piloting these giant world-saving / world-ending machines, machines asterisk, why aren't they caring about the psychology of these kids? Like, why aren't they actually caring about acknowledging things for these kids, and caring about their mental health and so on? That was a big thing that really frustrated me when I was younger and had watched this. Now I can get a bit more of the vibe that they're going for, generally, I think. I've written some notes. I have no idea how how much sense my notes will make, but generally I feel like, and this isn't really a big take, I don't think, but I feel like Evangelion is really processing that the world really does not have someone in control that knows what they're doing. It very much feels like an existential crisis, that there is not an easy purpose, that it's not the way that, I guess, for example, shonen anime, it's not, the life doesn't work in a way that is so neatly tied up as it would be in shonen anime. I have heard, like, before that a lot of characters are deconstructions of common tropes, like Rei being a deconstruction of, like, the quiet type, and Asuka being a deconstruction of a tsundere. I did not look up interpretations while I was doing this. I wanted to kind of give you my raw thoughts, so it could be that I'm saying very obvious things or something that is very, very wrong if I had actually looked into it, but I haven't. But yeah, I feel like my interpretation of Evangelion is very much, I guess, like, all of the characters, or at least the main cast of characters, Shinji, Asuka, Rei, and I will include Kaoru there, that they are parts of a whole. Especially towards the end with how abstract everything got. I definitely... Oh, I should probably mention spoilers. Because I will just talk about everything, probably. But yeah, towards the end, with how abstract everything got, I really started to just kind of shed the more concrete aspect of the show. Like, when I watched End of Eva, and I kind of... My eyes would glaze over a little bit at these parts that were, I guess, physically happening. Like, all of the angel fights, and, like, you have to kill them within a few minutes or whatever, to Asuka. It wasn't that it wasn't cool to an extent, but by that point, my focus really was on the emotional states of the characters, because that is what seemed to be the underpinning of everything. And the series as a whole is so focused on the boundary of the self, like AT fields being the light of the heart or whatever it was said, and like these divisions that maintain the self, and breaking through angel AT fields is like the whole point for a while. And Shinji starting the whole instrumentality through his own ego boundaries being shattered. Like, at the heart of Eva is a conversation about the benefit of boundaries and the contradictions of self, I believe. Like, at the end, you know, Shinji decides, yeah, we could all be one, but then it's not quote-unquote real. Like, the feelings I had at least were real, and they were mine. And he decides that that's worth it, to continue to strive for purpose despite the pain, and not just accept this sort of wholeness that is more soothing, I suppose. And in that light, in viewing the characters more abstractly, I kind of ended up reading Asuka as a representation of self-punishment, or the self who is highly critical. When I was young, I really did not like Asuka until I found out her whole deal with her mom, and then I was like, oh, okay, I get it now. This time around, I did remember vaguely, like, okay, Asuka has something going on with her mom, and so I was trying to be quite lenient with her, and then by the end of it, I realized, oh, Asuka's actually extremely relatable, and it makes sense that I would not have liked her because I was basically very much like Asuka when I was younger. I've mentioned my OCD before, and Asuka feels really familiar in that way to me. The one that has to be perfect and perform well and sneers contemptuously towards others and myself. It's a very perfectionist OCD sort of feeling for me, and that is what I started to see in Asuka. It can be like living with a bully, but the bully is me, and the rest of me is just trying to keep that bully pleased. So I ended up interpreting Shinji's desire to connect with Asuka as similar to my own behavior, where I can gravitate towards hard-to-please people, or just hard-to-please characters, because I want vicarious approval. If they approve of me, then my own bully self also has to approve of me too. It's sort of relief-seeking. And relief-seeking is actually kind of a focus in Eva, at least towards the end, where there was this idea that anyone will do to fill a hole in the heart. So by the end, the rapport that Shinji and Asuka had felt like one self talking to another self. And the fact that Asuka would acknowledge, I believe Asuka did acknowledge it internally, that she and Shinji were very similar. But I know that Misato and Asuka did, where they were very similar actually to Shinji, like running away and crying, except that they had different forms of it. I did cry at the very end of Eva, where Shinji is choking out Asuka, and instead of kind of pushing against him or, you know, trying to fight back, she just kind of caresses his face. And in that moment, my first interpretation was, despite it all, the aggressive self, like when push genuinely comes to shove, when everything is on the line, even the aggressive self can show care. I feel kind of complicated talking about this part, because the actual context is one teenager choking out another teenager, and that's not great. But the emotional abstract context I had built up in that moment while watching these fictional characters that were clearly representative of more than the sum of their parts was Shinji speaking in this violent language towards Asuka, who is the aggressive one, and Asuka recognizing the pain that he's in and reacting with care, the wall coming down through speaking a similar language, a language that she was always belittling him over, that he was not being aggressive enough. And Shinji, being shown that care, does put down his violence, does just start to cry. But then the walls come back up. The walls from Asuka come back up, and she calls him disgusting. So it's like this constant oscillation. And that was very interesting to me, where it's like, yes, this care exists, but it is so far down buried. It is so difficult to connect. And once that connection is had, the walls can also still come back up. The disconnect can still occur. But I don't know. It's just a lot to think about. Rei and Kaoru as well. I remembered that when I was a teen, I liked Kaoru, but I didn't remember why. I knew that he was just there for an episode, basically. And now I'm like, oh, it's because there's just so much unacknowledged throughout the whole series. Like, there's just so little actual meeting Shinji at his level, that when a character does start to do that, it's such a crazy feeling. I was talking to a friend about this, and I mentioned that Rei and Shinji feel like you would put them in a room and they would just start to play with blocks together. Like, there's very little pressure, at least at first. I think towards the end there was definitely more pressure going on, but Shinji will just slow down to a crawl with Rei and be okay with it. But if you put Shinji and Kaworu in a room together, it is like Kaworu generates movement. he just wants to, like, he's going fast. And I know part of that is possibly from, you know, they had an episode, so they had to just run. They had to go for it. Oh, I should probably mention that I did not see the Rebuild movies. I kind of felt like burnt out trying to watch the first one, because having to start at the beginning of Evangelion was really not what I wanted to do. Like, I kind of like the series, but the beginning is really so hard for me to get through. But maybe I'll watch it later. I don't know. I know that there are some changes or differences, but I don't know what those differences are. Anyway, I believe there's a line about Rei and Kaoru that they are, like, hope or something. Like, okay, it's kind of hard to follow everything going on because there's just so much language all the time. Like, there was a line about, like, angels having the fruit of life and humans have the fruit of wisdom. And what does that mean? Life conceptually can be emotions, like feeling, being present, and wisdom can be like looking forward, being able to think things out, you know? And so if that's the case, what does that mean? Is that the sort of battle between the heart and mind? And there was a line about that angels were what humans could have evolved into, like different divergent species, which is interesting. That's very interesting because a lot of the angels we see are like giant, and I wonder what a society of each angel like that would be. I can't conceptualize it very well. Of course, I don't know if they mean that all of the angels are like unanimously one divergent species, or if each angel is its own individual species. And of course, there's all the religious symbolism and imagery that I don't even know enough to get into myself. Like at the end of Eva, all of the other Evas were like set up like those gates or whatever. I don't know, and I don't want to discredit that because I do think that religious imagery can bring up a lot of feelings for a lot of people, but for me, I don't have a touchstone for that. So it's just kind of like, oh, that's happening now. That's happening now. I do like that the creatures are called angels, but the more nuanced stuff I just was not really adding anything for me. Oh, and I didn't even bring up the whole thing that I wanted to talk about, which was I believe that Kaoru and Rei mention like being Shinji's hope about something or other. So much was happening at that point. I really should have been taking notes. I did take notes on some of the earlier episodes, but then I was like realizing that my note-taking was kind of dragging me down a bit. So I ended up just not taking notes towards the end and just kind of feeling whatever I felt in the moment, which meant that I did not remember a lot more concretely. But yeah, like Shinji and Rei being these hopes. Not Shinji, Kaoru and Rei being these hopes of Shinji's. And, you know, Gendo talks to Rei near the end as well that, like, oh, your AT field is, like, dissipating, your body's gonna start, like, falling apart or whatever. And that's interesting. The whole, like, boundary of the self, when taken literally, is so fascinating to me. Because she is in this shape on purpose, and she has so much difficulty understanding other people throughout the whole series. And then it's like, oh, of course, because she is put into this shape by Gendo. Like, to my understanding, I'm sure I've missed a bunch of stuff, but she is a tool at first and maintaining this shape. And if you're basically told, like, for example, growing up, you're told a bunch of things as a kid, like, oh, don't do this, don't do that, but you don't really know the reasons why unless, like, you're explained. But sometimes even when you're explained, you don't get it. So it's like, okay, I should do this way, but I don't really know why. And that's what it feels like now, thinking about Rei, where it feels like Rei has so much of that, where she does not have these preconceived notions, these understandings of how things quote unquote should be or how they typically are, because she is not how someone typically is. She's manually maintaining herself. She has to consciously recognize and develop herself. And I do like Rei and Shinji's connection throughout the series. I believe that was one of the first times I got emotional watching Eva, was the episode where I believe Rei like sacrifices herself, or like it was one of the earlier episodes, so it's like foggier in my mind. But she kind of gets in the way of like a beam that's targeting Shinji or something, and like that's after they were like talking a little bit, and it felt like they both had different issues but could be at a similar wavelength to talk about it. And it was nice seeing Rei kind of process through caring about Shinji. Like, she said thank you and realized like, oh, I've never even said that to Gendo or whatever. Gendo, by the way, is so wild to think about. He really is such a wild character to me. I've already forgotten it. Like, I remember there was like a few lines in End of Eva, I believe, about him where I think he said something like he was just afraid to like, he didn't believe people could love him or whatever. And you know, like, I could see that, but also it was just so much to see everything he would do for this instrumentality thing. And in the end, Shinji didn't even go with it, you know, like, he undid it. And it's kind of sad in this really frustrating way. Like, the adult characters are just so stuck in their ways sometimes that it's really just sad. And they feel like they also haven't really grown. Like, they've gotten stuck on things. Like, Ritsuko, I believe her name was, basically following in the footsteps of her mother in just the most sad ways possible. Just being a used woman and hating Rei the way that her mother had hated Rei. I guess it's an interesting sort of view, like the these sort of cycles that occur in the characters. Yeah, I don't know if there's much more to say. I'm sure like I will stop recording and I will be like, oh no, I didn't mention all of this other stuff. Oh my god, I've been recording for like half an hour. I didn't realize that I had that much to say about Eva. Oh yeah, I remembered from my time watching as a teen that like Shinji's mom was the Eva or something, but like this time around I did not pick that up. I feel like I missed a line somewhere or something. I don't know if maybe it's just become more apparent through the Rebuild movies, or just like common knowledge through interviews that he's had or anything like that. But yeah, another part I got really emotional about actually was when Asuka was like, oh, I see this AT field is my mom, she's here for me, and blah blah. Like, she was so excited and happy, and I've kind of felt that way before, where I'm in this like period of dark and pained feelings, and then something finally reaches me that I'm like, oh, I see, like, people do care about me. This is care. This is actually care. And it like 180s, like a 180 degree flip, where suddenly I do feel capable and I do feel loved. Like, and it made me sad to, well, first it made me happy to see Asuka feel that way. But then I felt sad because she, you know, got fucked up. She really doesn't have a good time in Evangelion. She's, at first I did not want to watch End of Eva because of the part at the very beginning where Shinji, you know, says the whole "I'm so fucked up" line. When I first thought about rewatching everything, I felt really squeamish about that. Due to my OCD, I can get really stuck on intrusive thoughts, and I did not want that to be one. But I did watch the whole movie through, and it just makes me kind of sad. Because the anime is so focused on boundaries of the self, violation is there. Violation is also something that the anime grapples with and tries to communicate about. And Asuka definitely has a lot of it, and it just makes me sad. There's a lot I could say there. Like, Asuka is really Asuka uses violation to her advantage at one point, or she tries to, I mean, where she calls Kaji and like is pretending that she's being assaulted, and she's like, haha, that'll get his attention. So there's this language that she tries to use that involves violation, and when the angel like goes into her head, she starts yelling about how she's defiled, and how that really shakes her resolve and really hurts her. And it just, I don't know, I mean, character is assaulted makes person sad is not really a hot take, but I feel like I'll probably have more to say about that as I digest that more. It just is very sad. And it connects to that thing that I mentioned where Asuka is more aggressive and more violent and kind of expects violence of others and is disappointed when Shinji is not violent or aggressive, but then is also upset to be acted aggressively towards. I don't know. It's there's a lot to say about that. I guess those are my Eva thoughts. Thanks for watching this video. I feel like I was more composed for these Eva thoughts than I was for the rest of the previous video. The whole music answering thing. But I still hope it was at least a little bit interesting. Next video, I believe, is going to be character lore questions. So that's going to be fun. My server is up. I probably mentioned that a few times. Oh yeah, and at the start of the video, I talked about making a video for my music stuff. I did edit all of that, so I just need to record the intro for that, and I don't know why I'm talking about this right now, because by the time I post this, I will likely have already posted that other video. Yay! Okay, thanks for listening. Bye!